Hello, English learners, and welcome to another great podcast with English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we have another really great lesson for you, elementary lesson.
That's right, and it's another lesson about money.
We have no money here at English Pod. We are in debt here.
In debt?
Yes.
Okay, in debt.
So what does that mean? Why don't you tell us?
If I owe you money, I'm in debt.
In debt.
In fact, I think I am in debt to you.
You owe me $2.50 for a Coke Zero today.
That's true.
All right. Okay, so let's get started. Let's take a look at our vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
We have two words today in our vocabulary preview, and the first one is recession.
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 So, recession. Everyone's talking about it right now, and what does it mean?
I don't know. That's your job. I don't know. I really don't know. Why don't you tell me, Erica, because this isn't my topic for today.
Okay. Recession is a period of time when the economy of a country is doing badly.
In a recession, the country is making less money.
That's true. So maybe we can give a few examples of things that happen in a recession to show the meaning of this a little bit better.
Right. So, for example, in a recession, many people lose their jobs.
Because companies might close or go bankrupt.
Exactly. And also, people start spending less money.
That's true. And the stock prices of companies fall pretty drastically. Yeah, they fall a lot, hey?
Yeah. And that's what's going on now in the United States.
Very true.
Okay, so let's take a look at our second word, and it has to do with recession. It's broke.
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 I'm broke.
Broke, it means that you have no money. You're broke.
I'm broke.
Right, so these are our two words for vocabulary preview today, and you're going to hear them in the dialogue.
This dialogue is about a man who is in debt. He's broke. Let's find out what happens.
Hello, I'm here to see Mr. Corleone. Right this way, sir. Charlie, what can I do for you? Mr. Corleone, I'm really sorry to trouble you, but I need your help. Anything for you, Charlie. Your father was like a brother to me. Well, sir, you see, this recession has hit me pretty hard. I lost my job and I'm in a lot of debt. I see. Yeah, you know, I've got credit card bills, car payments, I've got to pay my mortgage, and on top of all that, I have to pay my son's college tuition. So you're asking for a loan? Well, I just thought maybe you could help me out. What? At a time like this? I'm broke too, you know. You're not the only one who's been hit by the recession. I lost half my money in the stock market crash. Go on, get...
Welcome to World Pod English Video. Today's story is about money, not just coins and notes, but the lessons it teaches us about life, dreams, and responsibility. Money is something everyone needs, but few people really understand how to control it. Many people work hard but still feel broke at the end of the month. Some borrow money, some save, and some spend it all without thinking. I've met people who had everything, new phones, cars, clothes, but deep inside, they were worried, afraid, and lost. Why? Because they were in debt. That is not just a number on paper, it's a heavy feeling. It keeps you awake at night. You think, how will I pay this bill? Or why did I buy that? It's like walking with a stone in your pocket, always there, always heavy. But here's the truth. Debt also teaches. It teaches responsibility, patience, and planning. If we listen carefully, money tells us stories about our choices. It says, you didn't need that thing, or next time, save a little first. When I was younger, I didn't care about saving. I thought money was for spending. I worked part-time at a cafe, and every Friday when I got paid, I went straight to the store. I bought shoes, snacks, gifts, things that made me happy for a few hours. Then, one day, my phone broke. I didn't have any money to fix it. I borrowed some from a friend, then I borrowed again. Soon, I owed more than I could pay. That's when I understood what being in debt really means. It's not just about owing money. It's about losing freedom. You start working not for yourself, but for others. Every paycheck belongs to someone else. I decided to change. I sat down with a notebook and wrote everything I spent. It was painful to see how much I wasted on useless things, but writing gave me power. When you face your mistakes, you can fix them. I started saving a little, just $5 a week. It didn't feel like much, but over time it grew. That small amount gave me confidence. I learned that being rich is not about having more. It's about needing less. So if you ever feel broke, don't just worry, learn. Ask yourself, where is my money going? Every coin tells a story. Listen to it, learn from it. You can start small. Save from your coffee, your bus fare, your online shopping. Slowly, you'll see a change. Remember, money can be your master or your helper. The choice is yours. Use it wisely and it will give you peace. Ignore it and it will control your life.
Money is a strange teacher. It never speaks, yet it tells the loudest lessons. When I was struggling with debt, I realized how little I understood about control. Not control over money, but control over myself. Because debt is not only about spending too much, it's also about wanting too much. Every advertisement tells us, buy this and you'll be happy. So we buy. And for a short moment, it works. We feel joy. But after that moment, reality comes back. The new phone becomes old, the shoes lose their shine, and the credit card bill arrives. That's when we see the truth. Happiness cannot be bought. One evening, when I was checking my bills, I saw a quote online. If you buy things you don't need, soon you will sell things you do need. It hit me deeply. I looked around my room, full of things I didn't use. Headphones, old clothes, books I never read. I realized my problem wasn't money, it was habit. So I made a decision. I sold what I didn't need. It was difficult at first because each thing had a memory. But when I sold them, I felt lighter, freer. It was like cleaning not only my room, but my mind. After that, I began learning new phrases to help me stay motivated in English. Expressions like tighten your belt, which means to spend less. Save for a rainy day, which means to keep money for emergencies. And live within your means, which means don't spend more than you earn. These phrases became part of my daily thinking. And I started doing something simple but powerful. I spoke to myself kindly. I said, you can start again, you're learning, you'll be better next time. Because when you feel guilty about money, you stop trying. But when you forgive yourself, you grow. Now, every time I buy something, I ask myself 3 questions. 1, do I really need it? 2, will I still care about it in 1 month? 3, can I buy it without stress? If the answer is no, I walk away. That small action has changed my life. I feel more peaceful, more thankful, and more in control. Remember, you don't have to be rich to be happy, but you do have to be wise to stay free.
There was a time when I thought saving money was boring. I used to say, why should I save when I can enjoy life now? But one day, something changed my mind completely. I met an old man in the park. He was feeding birds and humming softly. I sat beside him and we started talking. He told me he had worked as a teacher for 40 years. He wasn't rich, but he said he never worried about money. I was surprised. I asked, how is that possible? He smiled and said, because I learned to respect money, not chase it. That sentence stayed in my heart. He explained that every coin we earn carries a piece of our time, our effort, our energy. When we spend money carelessly, we are wasting a part of our life. But when we use it wisely, it gives us peace and freedom. He told me about his rule. Save before you spend. Even if it's $1, save it first. Then you can enjoy the rest without guilt. He said, if you make $10, save $1. It's not about the amount, it's about the habit. After that conversation, I started using what I learned. I opened a small jar and called it my freedom jar. Every time I earned money, I put a little inside. Slowly, I saw it grow. It was not just money, it was proof that I could control my choices. Saving taught me more than numbers. It taught me discipline. It taught me to wait, to plan, and to feel proud when I achieved something with patience. It made me realize that rich people are not those who have a lot, but those who manage what they have wisely. I also began learning English words connected to money and saving. Words like budget, expense, income, balance, and debt-free. These words help me describe my goals better. When you can say it, you can see it more clearly. Language and money are similar. The more you practice, the more confident you become. Sometimes people think saving is about being afraid, but no, it's about being ready. When you save, you give yourself choices. You can say yes to new opportunities and no to pressure. That's real freedom. So if you're listening now, remember this simple but powerful idea. Money grows where respect lives. Respect your money, your time, and your effort. Don't let money control your happiness. Let wisdom guide your spending. One cold evening, I was walking home from work, thinking about my bills. My wallet felt empty, and so did my heart. I looked around. Bright shop windows, new phones, people laughing inside cafes. I wanted to feel free like them, but I couldn't. I was tired of counting coins, tired of saying, maybe next month. That night, I sat in my small room, turned off the lights, and opened my notebook. On the first page, I wrote, "Why am I always broke?" The question looked painful, but it was honest. I wrote every reason I could think of. I spend without thinking. I buy things to feel happy. I forget to save. I fear missing out. As I looked at that list, I realized something powerful. My problem wasn't money. It was emotion. I was using money to fix emotions. When I felt sad, I shopped. When I felt bored, I spent. But money can't heal emotions. It only hides them for a short time. So I decided to change my story. I promised myself, before spending, I will breathe. That simple action helped more than I expected. When I wanted to buy something, I stopped for 10 seconds, took a deep breath, and asked, do I really need this? Most of the time, the answer was no. I began to live by a new phrase, think before you spend. I also learned a few English expressions that helped me stay motivated. Cut back on, to reduce spending. Set aside, to save a little regularly. Live on a budget, to plan your expenses carefully. These expressions became part of my daily thoughts. I used them not only in English, but in real life. Each time I said, I'm cutting back on snacks this week, I felt proud. I was controlling my choices, not letting them control me. I also started writing small daily goals. Don't buy coffee today. Cook at home. Save $3. When I achieved them, I felt powerful. Every small win became a big step toward freedom. And slowly, things changed. My wallet didn't grow full overnight, but my heart did. I started to feel lighter, calmer. I wasn't chasing happiness through things anymore. I was finding it in peace of mind. Money problems can make you feel alone, but remember this, you are not alone.
Everyone has made money mistakes. What matters is not how much you lost, but how you learn.
A few months later, something beautiful happened. I began to feel peace when I opened my wallet. It wasn't full of money, but it was full of calm. I no longer feared the end of the month. I had learned to manage, to plan, and to stay patient. One Saturday morning, I sat at a cafe with a small notebook titled My Money Diary. I started writing not about how much I earned, but how I felt about money. I wrote, "Money is not the goal. It's a tool. It's not a master. It's a helper." That day changed the way I saw everything. Money, I realized, is like a mirror. It reflects our habits, our discipline, and our values. If we are careless, money disappears. If we respect it, it stays and grows. It doesn't matter if you earn a lot or a little. What matters is what you do with it. I remembered a friend who used to earn twice as much as me, yet he was always in debt. Every time I asked him why, he said, "I deserve to enjoy life." And yes, he did, but he forgot that true enjoyment doesn't come from expensive things. It comes from peace of mind. That's when I created a simple rule for myself, the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of my money for needs, food, rent, and bills. 30% for wants, small joys like a coffee or movie. 20% for savings or debt payment. This method changed everything. It helped me control my life, not my money. And here's a beautiful thing. When you start managing money, you start managing your emotions too. You become calmer, more confident, and more grateful. I also started learning idioms about money, which made my English more colorful. Phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," "money is hard to earn," and "a penny saved is a penny earned." I used them in my thoughts, in my writing, and even in small daily talks. Soon, my English improved, my savings grew, and my mind felt lighter. I learned that the more I understood money, the more I understood life, because both need patience, planning, and self-control. So today, if you feel stuck or broke, start by changing how you think. Don't say, "I can't save." Say, "I'll save something, even if it's small." Every big change begins with a small step, and that step begins today. One day, while organizing my small desk, I found an old envelope with a few coins inside. It had a note written years ago, "Emergency Fund." I smiled. Back then, I had no idea how powerful those two words could be. That envelope reminded me of a hard time, the day I lost my job. It happened suddenly, and I had no savings, no plan. For weeks, I felt lost and scared. I borrowed money from friends, avoided phone calls, and blamed bad luck. But the truth was simple. I hadn't prepared for life's surprises. That's when I learned one of the greatest lessons about money. You must always prepare for the unexpected. Life changes quickly. A broken car, a medical bill, or a lost job can appear at any time. And when you're not ready, it hurts deeply. But when you have even a small emergency fund, you sleep better. You feel safe. You know you can handle what comes. So I started saving again, slowly, quietly. At first, just $1 a day. I put it in that same envelope. After a few months, it became a habit. I didn't touch it, no matter what. I called it my safety pocket. The power of that pocket wasn't just in money, it was in confidence. It made me realize that I was capable of planning my future. I learned the English expression, "save for a rainy day." It means to save money for hard times. And I loved it. It wasn't just an idiom, it was a truth about life. One evening, my friend Anna called me. She was crying because her car had broken down and she had no money for repairs. I told her about my safety pocket. She said, "You're lucky." I said, "Not lucky, prepared." That's when she understood too. Saving isn't about being greedy. It's about being ready.
It gives you freedom, not the kind you buy, but the kind you feel inside your heart. Even $5 can make you feel secure when you know you saved it with care. I wrote a quote on my wall. Don't wait for the storm to start building your shelter. Every time I saw it, I felt stronger. So if you're listening now, start your own safety pocket today. It doesn't matter if you can only save a few coins. What matters is that you begin.
I remember a moment that changed the way I thought about success. I was walking through the city one evening and saw a man selling small handmade bracelets on the street. He looked calm and peaceful, smiling at everyone who passed by. Out of curiosity, I stopped and asked, "Do you sell a lot?" He laughed softly and said, "Not always, but I sell enough to live, and I sleep with peace." That answer stayed with me. I kept thinking about his smile. It wasn't the smile of a rich man, but of a free man. He didn't have much, yet he looked happier than many people I knew who had everything. That night, I wrote in my diary, "Being rich isn't about how much you have, it's about how little you need." Those words felt powerful. I realized that true wealth isn't in your pocket, it's in your mindset. When you stop chasing more, you finally start living. After that, I started practicing minimalism, living with less, but feeling more. I gave away clothes I didn't wear, sold things I didn't use, and kept only what I loved or needed. My room became cleaner, my mind quieter, my life lighter. I discovered that space brings peace, and peace brings clarity. Minimalism also helped me learn English in a new way. I focused on learning fewer words, but understanding them deeply. For example, the words need, want, enough, value, and choice became part of my life lessons. Each of these words carries meaning beyond grammar. They teach how to live wisely. I also learned a few idioms that fit perfectly with this lifestyle. Less is more. Simplicity brings power. Cut your coat according to your cloth. Live within your means. Keep it simple. The best things in life are not complicated. When I applied these ideas, I began to feel richer, even though I didn't earn more money. I had time for walks, for reading, for dreaming, things that money could never buy. One Sunday morning, I walked past that same bracelet seller again. I smiled at him, and he smiled back. This time, I understood his piece. He wasn't just selling bracelets, he was selling a lesson about balance, gratitude, and freedom. Remember this, the person who has enough is richer than the one who always wants more. One morning, I went to the bank to pay a bill. The line was long and everyone looked impatient. A young man in front of me was arguing loudly with the cashier. He kept saying, "I don't understand these charges. Why is my card blocked again?" His voice was full of stress. The cashier tried to calm him, but he wasn't listening. After a few minutes, he turned and looked at me. "Can you believe this? They keep charging me for nothing." I smiled and said gently, "Maybe it's time to learn how your money works." He looked surprised, but also curious. We started talking. He told me he had 3 credit cards, 2 loans, and no savings. He didn't really know what interest meant or why his debt kept growing. I explained to him that interest is the extra money we pay when we borrow. It's like renting someone else's money. The longer you take to pay, the more it costs. He looked shocked. "So that's why my bills keep getting bigger?" he asked. I nodded. Yes, debt grows quietly, like a shadow. If you ignore it, it follows you everywhere. That moment reminded me of how many people live without understanding basic financial words like interest, debt, loan, balance, and credit score. These aren't just English words, they're real-life tools. Knowing them can change how we make choices. I told him a few expressions that could help him remember. Money borrowed is money owed. Don't spend tomorrow's money today. Pay what you owe before you grow. He laughed and said, "I'll never forget that last one." We talked until it was my turn. When I finished and walked out, I saw him still reading his phone, searching what interest rate meant. That made me smile. One small conversation had opened his eyes. Later that day, I thought about how many of us work hard but never learn how money truly works. We study so many things at school but not how to manage what we earn. Yet this knowledge can save us from stress, sleepless nights, and endless debt. Learning financial words in English can also make your brain sharper. You understand not only a new language, but a new way of thinking. Words like budget, expense, savings, loan, interest, and payment can help you handle real-life problems in any country. Remember this: the more you understand money, the more control you have over your future.
A few weeks later, I met my cousin Sarah for coffee. She looked worried, her hands playing nervously with a small paper cup. I asked, "What's wrong?" She sighed and said, "I don't know where my money goes. I work so hard, but at the end of the month, there's nothing left." Her words sounded familiar. I had once said the same thing. I smiled and said, "Let's find out where it's going." We took out a piece of paper, drew 3 columns, and I wrote the titles: Needs, Wants, and Waste. I asked her to list everything she had spent money on during the past week. Rent, food, transport, phone bills. Those went into needs. Then came coffee shop drinks, online clothes, fast food, and small treats. Those went into wants. And finally, things she bought but didn't use, like an expensive gym membership she never visited, that went into waste. When we finished, she was silent. "I didn't realize how much I spend on things I don't even need," she whispered. I said, "That's the power of writing. When you see your spending, you see your habits." Then I taught her a few English expressions that help with smart spending. Keep track of your money. Always know where it goes. Stick to your budget. Follow your plan and don't spend more. Cut down on extras. Remove small, unnecessary expenses. We turned her notes into a simple plan. She decided to give every dollar a job. 1 envelope for bills, 1 for savings, and 1 for joy. That last one was important because life should still feel good even when you're saving. Sarah called me 2 weeks later, full of energy. She said, "You won't believe it. I actually saved $50 this month for the first time." I could hear her smile through the phone. That small victory gave her confidence. That day, I realized something beautiful. Managing money isn't about punishment. It's about freedom. When you plan, you don't feel trapped anymore. You feel powerful. You become the driver of your own life, not a passenger controlled by bills and fear. I wrote a quote in my diary that night. "When you manage your money, you manage your mind." It's true. When your finances are peaceful, your thoughts are peaceful too. You sleep better, breathe easier, and dream bigger. So, if you've never tracked your money, start today. You'll be surprised at what you discover, not just about your wallet, but about yourself. One quiet evening, I was sitting near my window, watching the city lights flicker like tiny stars. I thought about how many people behind those lights were probably thinking about money, worrying about bills, debts, rent, or dreams that seemed too far away. I knew that feeling well, but I also knew something many of them might not. You can change your story anytime. I remembered when I used to believe money was the problem. But the truth is, money itself isn't good or bad. It's neutral. It's how we use it, how we think about it, that makes the difference. When I changed my mindset from, "I don't have enough," to, "I can manage what I have," everything began to shift. That night, I made a list of the best lessons money had taught me. 1, be patient. Riches don't come overnight, but wisdom can start today. 2, be grateful. Even small earnings deserve respect. 3, be consistent. Saving a little every day beats saving a lot once a year. 4, Be honest with yourself. Face your spending habits. They tell your truth. 5. Be generous. Sharing, even a small amount, reminds you that money is a tool, not a treasure. I also began learning how culture shapes our view of money. In some countries, debt is seen as normal. In others, it's avoided at all costs. In one place, people live to earn. In another, they earn to live. Understanding this helped me respect different lifestyles and learn new English expressions like, money can't buy happiness. The best things in life are free. Health is wealth. Each of these sayings carried more than words. They carried wisdom. Over time, I noticed that my English improved because I was learning through real-life stories. Talking about money, savings, and responsibility made my vocabulary practical. I didn't just memorize words, I lived them. Words like balance, save, debt, budget, and secure became part of my daily thoughts. And slowly, something amazing happened. I stopped chasing money and started building peace. I realized that true success isn't about owning more, it's about worrying less. It's waking up without fear, eating dinner without guilt, and sleeping with gratitude. So if you're listening to this now, remember, your relationship with money reflects your relationship with yourself. Treat it with care, and it will take care of you. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start today with what you have, where you are.
A few months later, I met a man named Daniel at a community event. He was in his 40s with kind eyes and a tired smile. We started talking about work and life, and soon, our conversation turned to money. He said, "I've made good money for years, but somehow I'm still living paycheck to paycheck." I could feel the frustration in his voice. I asked gently, "Do you have a plan for your money?" He laughed quietly. "A plan? No, I just pay my bills and hope there's something left." That answer sounded familiar. I used to say the same thing. I told him that without a plan, money will always find a way to disappear. It's like water. If you don't build walls, it flows away. I explained something simple, yet powerful. Budgeting is not about limits. It's about direction. It doesn't stop you from spending. It helps you spend wisely. I showed him how to make a simple monthly map. We drew 3 sections: fixed expenses, rent, bills, and transport; flexible expenses, food, clothing, entertainment; goals, savings, debt payments, and dreams. Daniel stared at the paper for a while, then said softly, "I've never written it down before." He smiled, a little embarrassed, but then he said, "This actually feels good. Like I can see my life clearly now." That's when I realized sometimes people don't need more money. They need more awareness. When you know exactly where your money goes, you stop feeling lost. You take control. I also shared some easy English expressions with him. Make ends meet, to have just enough money for your needs. Put money aside, to save regularly. Get back on track, to recover from financial problems. He repeated those phrases out loud, smiling. I like that. Get back on track. That's exactly what I want. We met again after a month, and his face looked different, lighter, happier. He said, "You won't believe it. I saved $200 this month, just by knowing where my money went." I laughed and said, "That's the power of a plan. It turns chaos into calm." He nodded and said something beautiful. I used to feel like money controlled me. Now I control it. That night I went home thinking about Daniel's story. It reminded me that progress isn't about big leaps. It's about small, steady steps. Managing money is like learning a language. You improve one word, one habit, one day at a time. So, if you're listening now, take a piece of paper and start your map. You don't need to be rich to plan. You just need to begin. One afternoon, I was sitting in a small library reading a book about personal growth.
A sentence caught my eye. Your relationship with money shows your relationship with yourself. I stopped reading and thought about it deeply. Was that true? I realized, yes, it was. When I was careless with money, I was also careless with my time. When I spent without thinking, I also made quick, emotional decisions in life. But when I learned to plan my finances, I started planning my days, my goals, and even my dreams. Managing money, I discovered, was not just a skill, it was self-respect. That evening, I decided to track my habits more carefully. Not just what I spent, but why I spent. I started noticing patterns. When I felt lonely, I ordered food online. When I was stressed, I bought things I didn't need. I realized I wasn't buying objects, I was buying feelings. I wrote in my diary, if you want to fix your finances, first fix your emotions. Because emotional spending is the hidden cause of most debt. We use shopping to fill emptiness, but it never lasts. Real comfort comes from self-control and purpose. To help myself, I began practicing small daily reflections. Before sleeping, I asked, did I spend on something useful today? Did I save something for my future? Did I feel thankful for what I already have? These 3 questions slowly changed my mindset. I became more aware, more thankful, and more peaceful. I also began learning English expressions related to emotions and money because they describe this connection so well. Money burns a hole in my pocket. You can't resist spending. Retail therapy, shopping to feel better emotionally. Easy come, easy go. Money that comes quickly usually disappears quickly. Every phrase became a mirror. They showed me how emotions shape our choices. I started replacing guilt with gratitude. When I wanted to buy something unnecessary, I said to myself, I already have enough. Those words felt powerful, like a gentle shield against impulsive decisions. A few weeks later, I noticed something beautiful. I was spending less and feeling richer. Not richer in money, but in peace. I understood now that wealth begins in the mind. So, if you often feel stressed about money, pause and look inward. Ask yourself what emotion is guiding your spending. When you heal that emotion, your wallet and your heart both become lighter. One evening, I was invited to a small family dinner. My uncle, a quiet man in his 60s, was there too. After dinner, he sat beside me on the porch, sipping tea under the stars. Out of nowhere, he said, "You know, I've made many mistakes with money." I looked at him with surprise. He had always seemed wise and stable. "What kind of mistakes?" I asked. He smiled softly. "The biggest one," he said, "was believing that money could buy peace." He told me that in his younger years, he worked day and night. He bought a big house, an expensive car, and many things he thought would make him happy. But the more he bought, the emptier he felt. Every time I got something new, he said, I started wanting something else. Then came the moment that changed him. One night, his car broke down far from home. He didn't call for help. Instead, he walked for hours under the rain. When he finally reached home, he said, I realized what I truly needed. Not a bigger house, but a calmer heart. His words were like poetry. That night, I understood that true wealth is not about possessions, but perspective. Having less doesn't mean being poor, it means being free. He also shared his 3 golden rules about money, which I wrote down carefully. 1. Work for your needs, not your ego. 2. Save not only money, but energy. And 3. Use your money to create memories, not just to collect things. Then he laughed and added, and never borrow to impress people. They forget faster than you can repay. I loved that line. It carried the truth many people avoid, that trying to look rich often makes us poorer inside. Later that night, I thought about the English expressions that matched his advice. Money talks, but wealth whispers. True success is quiet, not loud. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't take on more than you can handle. All that glitters is not gold. Not everything that looks valuable truly is. Those expressions spoke to my heart. I began to notice how peaceful people live simply. They don't chase trends, they choose balance. They don't spend to show, they spend to grow. As I walked home, I looked up at the stars and whispered, maybe peace is the real luxury. From that day, I promised myself that no matter how much money I earned, I will never lose my calm for the sake of showing off. So, if you ever feel pressure to buy or compare, stop and ask yourself, is this for joy or for pride? Choose joy. It always costs less and lasts longer.
One morning, I was sitting at a cafe, enjoying a cup of coffee, when a young woman nearby was crying softly. She was on the phone, saying, "I don't know how to pay my rent. I worked so hard, but my salary is gone again." When she hung up, I gently asked if she was okay. She wiped her eyes and said, "I'm just tired. I keep trying, but it's never enough." I could feel her pain. I had once been in that same place. So I listened as she told me her story. She worked full-time, paid her bills, but often bought small things to feel better. "It's not much," she said, "but somehow it adds up." I smiled kindly and said, "It's okay. You're not alone." Most people don't realize that small leaks sink big ships. She looked curious, so I explained. If you let tiny expenses go unnoticed, they slowly drain your savings. Together, we started to look at her spending. Every day, a coffee here, a snack there, a few online purchases. None of them seemed big alone, but together they were huge. I told her an old saying, "Watch the pennies, and the pounds will take care of themselves." She nodded quietly. Then I shared some useful English expressions that helped me. A little goes a long way, meaning small savings can make a big difference. Every drop fills the ocean, meaning every effort matters. Don't live beyond your means, meaning don't spend more than you earn. We talked about creating a spending pause. Whenever she wanted to buy something, she would wait 24 hours. If she still needed it the next day, she could buy it. But if she forgot about it, that meant it wasn't important. She agreed to try it. 2 weeks later, she messaged me. "It's working. I stopped buying small things I don't need. I even saved enough to pay my rent early." Her excitement made me smile. That moment reminded me that discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Managing money is not about being perfect. It's about being patient and learning from every mistake. I wrote a simple line in my journal that night. Financial peace doesn't come from more income, but from wiser choices. We all want freedom, not to worry about bills, not to feel trapped by money. But freedom starts with awareness. It's the calm that comes when you look at your wallet and say, "I know where my money went." So, if you feel stuck today, start small. Track your tiny expenses. Fix the small leaks, and soon your ship will sail smoothly. A few months ago, I visited a small village near the countryside. Life there was simple. People grew their own food, shared what they had, and smiled often. One afternoon, I sat with an old farmer under a tree. He wore a straw hat, his hands rough from years of work, yet his eyes were full of peace. I asked him, "Do you ever worry about money?" He laughed gently and said, "I used to when I wanted more than I needed. Now, I only take what I can use, and I sleep well every night." Those words felt like sunlight, warm, bright, and true. He told me that many people work to earn more, but forget to live. He said, "Money is like water. You need it to live, But if you try to hold too much, it slips through your fingers. We talked for hours. He explained how he plans his life around seasons, saving during harvest, spending carefully during winter. When the farm gives more, I don't rush to buy things. I save seeds for next year, he said. That's how life stays balanced. It made me realize that financial wisdom isn't about being rich or educated. It's about being aware. That farmer, without any fancy degree or office job, understood more about money than many city people. He practiced something called contentment, being happy with what you have, not sad about what you don't. I remembered an English proverb that matched his words. Contentment is better than riches. Then he taught me another simple truth. Every coin has power. Spend it with purpose. He said that before buying something, he always asked himself, will this make my life better or just busier? That line changed my way of thinking. Many people buy things that fill their houses but empty their hearts. But this farmer had discovered something priceless, peace through simplicity. I also learned a few English idioms that carry the same wisdom. Cut your coat according to your cloth, meaning live according to what you have. Money can't buy peace of mind. Simple living, high thinking. As the sun began to set, the farmer handed me a small basket of fresh apples and said, "Take these. They're sweet because they're grown with patience." That night, as I walked back, I thought about how money and patience are connected. If you rush with money, it disappears. If you treat it with patience, it grows, like those apples, full of sweetness and care. So, if you're listening now, remember this. Happiness doesn't come from having everything. It comes from appreciating what you already have and managing it wisely. Not long ago, I met an old friend named Alex after many years. We used to work together at a small company when we were younger. Back then, Alex was always chasing money, extra shifts, bonuses, investments, everything. He wanted to be rich before 30. When I saw him again, he looked tired but calm. Over lunch, he said something that surprised me. I've finally learned that money can buy things but not balance. He told me his story. He had made a lot of money, bought a new car, traveled often, and lived fast. But he was always exhausted and anxious. The more I earned, the less peace I had, he said. One night, while sitting alone in his expensive apartment, he realized he was surrounded by things, but not by happiness. So, he made a brave choice. He changed his life completely. He left his high-stress job, started working remotely, and began studying mindfulness and simple living. Now, he said, smiling, I earn less, but I live more. That sentence stayed in my mind. I earn less, but I live more. It was powerful. It reminded me that true success isn't about the size of your bank account, but the quality of your peace. Alex told me that once he simplified his life, he started noticing small joys, morning walks, quiet dinners, laughter with friends. These are things I couldn't see before, he said. I was too busy counting money to count blessings. His story taught me something valuable about balance. Money is important, but it should support your life, not control it. It's a tool, not a purpose. When we chase it endlessly, we lose time, health, and joy, things money can never replace. To make his point, Alex shared 3 English idioms he had learned during his journey. Time is money. Use your time wisely because it's valuable. Money isn't everything. There are things far more important than wealth. And you can't take it with you. Money stays when life ends, so live meaningfully. We laughed, and he said, you know, the richest people aren't those with more money, but those with more peace.
Later that night, I wrote in my journal, "You can lose money and earn it back, but you can never earn back wasted peace." That's when I understood managing money is not just about budgets and savings, it's about protecting your mind, your time, and your heart. So, if you're listening now, ask yourself, is my money serving my life or am I serving my money? Choose balance. Choose peace. That's the real wealth. A few days later, I met a young man named Leo at a workshop about financial awareness. He looked stressed, his hands shaking slightly as he spoke. During a break, he said to me, "I feel trapped. I have a good job, but I'm drowning in loans. I can't sleep at night." His words were full of fear, the same fear many people feel when debt becomes a heavy shadow. I told him gently, debt is not forever. It's like a storm. It passes if you learn how to stand strong. We sat together and I asked him to write down all his debts, every credit card, every bill. At first he hesitated. "It's too much," he said. But I smiled and said, "You can't fix what you can't face." So he wrote. When he finished, he looked both scared and relieved. Seeing the truth on paper was hard, but it was the beginning of control. Then I taught him a simple method called the snowball technique. You start by paying off the smallest debt first. When it's gone, you use that money to attack the next one, and so on. It's not just about numbers, it's about motivation. Each small win gives you energy to keep going. We talked about English expressions that describe this process. Face your fears head on, meaning don't run from your problems. Step by step, which means progress comes slowly but surely. And turn the tide, meaning change the situation in your favor. Leo started to smile. "So I can really get out of this?" he asked. "Of course," I said. "Debt is like a tunnel, dark but not endless. You just have to keep walking toward the light." A few weeks later, he sent me a message. "I paid off my first debt today. It feels amazing." I replied, "That's not just money you gained, it's freedom." That moment reminded me how powerful it feels to take even one step toward freedom. Many people think debt defines them, but it doesn't. What defines you is your courage to fix it. That night, I wrote in my journal, "Every payment is not a loss, it's a step toward peace." I also realized something important for English learners. The words we use shape our attitude. When you say, "I'm stuck," your mind believes it. But when you say, "I'm learning," your mind starts to move forward. Language and mindset work together like partners. So if you're in debt today, don't lose hope. You don't need to be rich to be free. You just need to be brave enough to start. A few months after helping Leo, I received an email from him. The subject line said, "You were right." I opened it with a smile. He wrote, "I've paid off most of my loans and I feel lighter than ever. For the first time in years, I can breathe." His words made me think about how freedom feels. Not the kind you get from a vacation or a gift, but the quiet freedom that comes when your mind is finally calm. I realized that financial peace isn't about zero debt. It's about zero fear. It's when you know that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That thought stayed with me the whole day. I remembered all the lessons I had learned along the way, from the old man in the park, the farmer, my uncle, and even the young woman at the cafe. They all had something in common. They learned to respect money, not fear it. So that evening, I sat down to write my own rules for financial peace. 1. Earn honestly. Money made with honesty brings calm. 2. Spend wisely. Think twice, buy once. 3. Save patiently. Small savings today become big strength tomorrow. 4. Share kindly. What you give returns as joy. 5. Rest peacefully. Money can wait, your mind cannot. When I finished, I looked at my list and smiled. It wasn't about numbers, it was about values. You can have millions and still feel poor if your heart is restless, but if you have gratitude, even a simple life feels rich. That's when I thought of a beautiful English proverb. He is richest who is content with the least. I wrote that at the top of my notebook as a reminder that peace doesn't come from adding things, but from removing worries. I also remembered a few expressions that describe this balance perfectly. Money well spent, used for something meaningful. A wise head makes a close hand. Smart people spend carefully. Keep something for a rainy day, always save for the future. These words aren't just phrases, they're lessons in both English and life. I closed my notebook and looked out the window. The night sky was calm, stars shining quietly, just like the kind of life I wanted, simple, honest, and peaceful. Then I thought of something I wanted to share with everyone listening now. You don't need to be perfect with money, you just need to be aware. Awareness creates discipline, and discipline creates peace. So, take time today to look at your own life, your habits, your dreams, your spending. Change what you can, accept what you can't, and move forward with patience. It was a quiet morning. The sun was shining softly through my window, and I sat at my desk with a cup of tea, looking at my old notebook, the same one where I had written my first thoughts about money years ago. As I turned the pages, I smiled at how far I had come, not just in money, but in mindset. The pages told my story, the confusion, the fear, the lessons, and the growth. Every page showed me that money was never the true goal. The goal was peace, balance, and control. I realized something powerful that morning. Money is a mirror. It reflects how you live, how you think, and how you care for yourself. You remembered all the people I had met along the way. The old man with his wisdom, the farmer with his patience, the bracelet seller with his peace, the woman with her hope jar, the young man fighting debt, and my uncle who taught me that peace is priceless. Every one of them had taught me something deeper than finance. They had taught me about life. I wrote down my final lesson, the one that connects them all. Money is not about having more, it's about living better. That single line captured everything I had learned. When you manage your money wisely, you also manage your emotions, your time, and your dreams. You stop running after what you don't need and start enjoying what you already have. That's when life becomes lighter, like breathing after a long storm. I also thought about the English phrases that perfectly describe this wisdom. A penny saved is a penny earned. Saving is as valuable as earning. Wealth is peace of mind. True wealth is not money, but calmness. Don't let money make you forget what matters most. Keep your values above your wealth. I closed my notebook, feeling a quiet sense of pride. I wasn't rich, but I was free. Free from fear, free from debt, and free from the pressure to prove anything. My life was simple, but full of meaning. As I looked outside, children were walking to school, laughing without worry. That sound made me realize something beautiful. Happiness is not expensive. It's found in moments, in gratitude, in wisdom, and in love. So, to everyone listening, remember this. Start small. Save something. Learn something. Give something. You don't need a perfect life to feel rich. You just need the courage to live wisely and the heart to stay thankful. Thank you for being a part of World Pod English Video. If this story touched your heart or gave you peace and inspiration, please like, share, subscribe, and comment to help others grow, learn, and live freely, one story at a time.
Okay, so that was a bit unexpected.
Yeah, that was certainly strange. He didn't go to the bank to ask for money, did he?
No, he went to the mob, and the mob is broke.
Oh no, you know it's a bad recession when even the mob runs out of money.
All right, so why don't we start by looking at our language takeaway?
Language takeaway.
All right, so for today's language takeaway, we have 4 words from the dialogue, which we think are really important.
Yes, so why don't we start with the first one? Loan.
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 So, Erica, tell us about a loan. What is a loan?
Okay, when you borrow money, you get a loan.
A loan, yes. Not to be confused with alone, like by myself.
No, so this is L-O-A-N.
Loan.
Right.
Okay, great. Let's take a look at our second word, mortgage.
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 Now, this is very common. I'm sure many of you have mortgages. What is a mortgage?
A mortgage is a type of a loan. Basically, it's a loan that helps you to buy a house.
A house or a property.
Yeah. So this is a funny word. I mean, there's this strange mortgage with a T.
Yeah, it has a T in it, but you don't pronounce it. You say mortgage. Mortgage.
So not mortgage.
Not mortgage.
Mortgage.
Mortgage. Yeah, I had trouble spelling that one for this lesson, so I learned it well now.
Okay. Let's move to our third word today.
Hit me pretty hard.
Hit me pretty hard.
Hit me pretty hard.
Hit me pretty hard. I think we have some examples that will help us understand this phrase.
Example 1.
My divorce hit me pretty hard. I'm so depressed.
Example 2. This cold has hit me pretty hard. I've been in bed for a week. Example 3.
The news of Fluffy's death hit me pretty hard. I've been crying for days.
Okay, so that's a lot clearer.
Yeah.
Great. Why don't we take a look at our last word for language takeaway?
Tuition.
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 So this is the money you have to pay to your school so that you can study there.
Right. Usually it's in college, right? Or university.
Yeah, but sometimes in some countries you have to pay tuition for public school.
Okay, great. So it's time to listen to our dialogue again, and it's going to be slower so we can listen to all the words that we just talked about.
Hello, I'm here to see Mr. Corleone.
Right this way, sir. Charlie, what can I do for you?
Mr. Corleone, I'm really sorry to trouble you, but I need your help.
Anything for you, Charlie. Your father was like a brother to me.
Well, sir, you see, this recession has hit me pretty hard. I lost my job, and I'm in a lot of debt.
I see.
Yeah, you know, I've got credit card bills, car payments, I've got to pay my mortgage, and on top of all that, I have to pay my son's college tuition.
So you're asking for a loan?
Well, I just thought maybe you could help me out.
What? At a time like this? I'm broke too, you know. You're not the only one who has been hit by the recession. I lost half my money in the stock market crash. Go on, get out of here.
Okay, so I think a lot of the key language we just talked about is a lot more clear now. But you know, I also noticed some really interesting phrases in this dialogue.
Yes, I did too. So let's start with Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder is a tool that we use to help you sound more native.
Right, so you can sound more natural when you're speaking.
So we take a really common phrase and we show you some great natural ways of expressing that same idea.
Exactly, and today we have 3 of these examples. Let's start with the first one.
So this phrase we use when we want to ask somebody, "Can I help you?"
What can I do for you? What can I do for you?
Yeah, that sounds really, really polite and really natural.
Right, so instead of saying, can I help you? Or, I don't know, what do you need? We can just say, what can I do for you?
Exactly.
Great.
So let's move to our second phrase. This phrase we use when we need something, when we want to say, I'm sorry to bother you.
Or, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, let's listen.
I'm really sorry to trouble you. I'm really sorry to trouble you.
I'm sorry to trouble you. This phrase might be a little bit more difficult to understand how it's used, but we've got some examples.
Yes, so let's listen.
Example 1.
Can I trouble you for a moment? I just need you to sign this form for me.
Example 2. I'm sorry to trouble you, but may I go home early today? Example 3.
Can I trouble you for a pen? Mine is not working anymore.
Okay, so now let's take a look at our last phrase for Fluency Builder. On top of all that.
On top of all that.
On top of all that.
This is a really useful phrase. Marco, how would you use it?
Well, for example, today I lost my job.
Oh no.
My car got stolen.
Oh my God.
And on top of all that, my girlfriend broke up with me.
That was a terrible day.
It was. But don't worry, you can use this phrase also in a positive way.
That's true. You could say, so today was a really great day. It was my birthday and all my friends came to visit me, and on top of all that, I got 1,000,000 presents.
That is a great day. So you can use on top of all that in this way.
It's like, and also.
And also, yeah.
Yeah, so on top of all that.
So we are ready to listen to our dialogue a third time. We can hear all the words that we just talked about and all the phrases, and you'll definitely be able to understand a lot better now.
Hello, I'm here to see Mr. Corleone. Right this way, sir. Charlie, what can I do for you? Mr. Corleone, I'm really sorry to trouble you, but I need your help. Anything for you, Charlie. Your father was like a brother to me. Well, sir, you see, this recession has hit me pretty hard. I lost my job and I'm in a lot of debt. I see. Yeah, you know, I've got credit card bills, car payments, I've got to pay my mortgage, and on top of all that, I have to pay my son's college tuition. So you're asking for a loan? Well, I just thought maybe you could help me out. What? At a time like this? I'm broke too, you know. You're not the only one who's been hit by the recession. I lost half my money in the stock market crash. Go on!
Today's dialogue was all about being in debt, right?
Yes.
And different people have different attitudes or different viewpoints on being in debt.
Yes, that's true. For example, in North America and in Canada, it's a really common thing.
Yeah, it's actually almost good to be in debt.
It's more than good, it's necessary to be in debt.
That's right. Unless you have a history of being in debt and regularly paying off your debts, you can't actually borrow money. You can't get a mortgage. You can't get a car loan so you can buy a new car.
Right, that's called a credit history. So you must have a good credit history in order to be able to, like you say, buy a car or buy a house.
Yeah, and you know, the funny thing is, when I was in university, maybe I was 18 years old, the first thing that happened at university was, you know, banks came to our university and started offering you credit cards. So you can get a credit card when you're 18, no problem.
And not only do they offer you credit cards, they give you like free gifts if you sign up for a credit card.
I know, they really want you to have a credit card.
Of course, they want you to spend more money. That's the trick.
Yeah, but you know what? It's totally different in Europe, for example. I used to live in Switzerland, And they're really careful with debt. Like, it's a bad thing to be in debt.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's bad to be in debt, definitely.
For example, if I want to have a credit card in Switzerland, and let's say I want to have a limit of 500 francs that I can spend every month, I need to put in my bank account 700 francs before I can even spend that credit card money. So it's totally opposite from North America.
Well, yeah, I mean, in North America, it's crazy the way that people are in debt, and it's showing now with the recession, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So everyone, be sure to handle your money carefully. Don't be in debt unless you really, really have to.
Good financial advice from English Pod.
English Pod Financial Advising Service.
Okay, everyone, thanks for listening. Now remember, if you have any questions or comments, please visit our website at englishpod.com.
Right, Erica and I are always there to answer all the questions, and we really like to receive comments and suggestions from all our users, so be sure to go and leave us your comments.
Okay, Marco, it's been fun.
Yes, it has, but sadly we have to go now, so until next time, it's
goodbye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Disturb or bother.
Trouble.
A period of time when the economy of a country is bad.
Recession.
Had a strong negative effect on me.
Hit me pretty hard.
The amount of money you owe to a person, bank, company, etc.
Debt.
Besides that, in addition to.
On top of all that.
Not have any money.
Broke.
Let's try that faster. The amount of money you owe to a person, bank, company, etc.
Debt.
Besides that, in addition to.
On top of all that.
Disturb or bother.
Trouble.
Not have any money.
Broke.
Disturb or bother.
Trouble.
Besides that, in addition to.
On top of all that.
Had a strong negative effect on me.
Hit me pretty hard.
A period of time when the economy of a country is bad.
Recession.
Not have any money.
Broke.
Had a strong negative effect on me.
Hit me pretty hard.
The amount of money you owe to a person, bank, company, etc.
Debt.
A period of time when the economy of a country is bad.
Recession.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Trouble. Can I trouble you for a moment? I just need you to sign this for me. Recession. The recession is causing many businesses to close down. Hit me pretty hard. My divorce hit me pretty hard. I'm so depressed. Debt. My uncle just bought a new house and now he's in a lot of debt. On top of all that, my car was stolen yesterday, and on top of all that, my house burned down. Broke. I spent all my money on a new TV, so now I'm broke. Recession. The recession is causing many businesses to close down. hit me pretty hard. My divorce hit me pretty hard. I'm so depressed. On top of all that, my car was stolen yesterday, and on top of all that, my house burned down.